The siege is over. For months, we have watched a silent war of attrition play out behind the high gates of the Windsor estate, a cold war between brothers that threatened to tear the private fabric of the monarchy apart. But now, the visual confirmation has arrived, and it is brutal in its finality. The removal vans have been spotted, the heavy lifting crews have breached the perimeter, the Iron Curtain has fallen on the Duke of York. We are looking at the physical execution of King Charles's long-game pincer movement. This isn't a negotiation anymore. It is an eviction. The documented arrival of large-scale transport vehicles at the 30-room Royal Lodge signals the absolute end of a 2-decade era of York dominance on the Windsor estate. The King has effectively called his brother's bluff, turning off the financial taps and watching the fortress crumble. But if you think this is just about a change of address, you are missing the much darker, much more complex geopolitical game being played in the shadows. This isn't just a move down the road. This is the first phase of a vanishing act. Before we unzip the classified details of the Bahrain escape hatch, take a second to like this video and subscribe to Royal Family Daily. We are tracking the money, the movements, and the hidden deals the palace once buried. Join us, and let's get into the room where the decisions are being made. Inside the fragile final hours of his tenure at the lodge, sources describe a scene of chaotic humiliation. This is a man who, for 60 years, has never had to pack his own bags. Now, insiders reveal a humiliated Duke personally supervising the boxing up of high-value assets, forced to make rapid, ruthless decisions about what survives the cull. The most bizarre casualty of this downsizing? The collection. We are hearing reports that Andrew has been forced to ruthlessly whittle down his famous 70-strong teddy bear collection. It sounds trivial, almost comedic, but it paints a devastating psychological portrait. These aren't just toys. To a man in his position, they are artifacts of a life where everything was arranged exactly to his liking, where staff were trained on the precise positioning of plush animals. That control is gone. The cramped reality of his new life is setting in, and there is no room for sentimentality in the back of a removal van. The destination, however, is the ultimate insult. The optics are disastrous. Viral discourse has absolutely exploded over the last 24 hours following the release of photographs that the palace likely prayed would never see the light of day. Extermination teams, men in hazmat suits. We are talking about pest control vans parked outside the Duke's designated refuge at Wood Farm on the Sandringham estate. Just hours before the prince was due to potentially inspect or move into the property, exterminators were treating the grounds for rats and wasps. Think about that juxtaposition. He is leaving a property worth £30 million, a home that has hosted foreign dignitaries and royalty, to move into a farmhouse that requires emergency fumigation to make it habitable. It is a stark, unforgiving portrait of a prince trading royal grandeur for a fumigated farmhouse. The king isn't just demoting him, he is publicly humbling him. The message is clear. Beggars cannot be choosers, even if they have royal blood. But here is where the narrative shifts from a domestic drama to an international thriller. We need to look closer at what biographer Andrew Loney is saying. He is one of the most connected investigative writers in the game, and he is flagging a massive deception. Loney exposes the Sandringham move as a mere holding pattern. It is a strategic, optical layover. The theory is that the king needs Andrew out of Windsor immediately to stop the headlines. But Sandringham is not the forever home. It is a waiting room. It is designed to lower the temperature to get the press to look away before the Duke executes the true endgame. We are looking at a permanent relocation to the Persian Gulf. The marsh farm deception is simply a way to buy time while the details of a press-free exile are finalised. Andrew isn't planning to retire in rainy Norfolk, surrounded by wasps. He is looking for a golden cage in the desert. The groundwork for this escape was allegedly laid during a clandestine meeting that went largely under the radar. Cast your mind back to Remembrance Day. While the cameras were focused on the cenotaph, a different kind of diplomacy was happening behind closed doors. We are calling it the Glimpton Park Summit. Reports indicate a high-level dialogue between King Charles and King Hamad of Bahrain. These two monarchs have a long-standing relationship, but sources suggest this wasn't just a friendly catch-up. This was a negotiation. The rumour swirling through diplomatic channels is that a safe haven deal has been brokered. The terms? The Duke's silence, his invisibility, and a binding non-disclosure agreement regarding sensitive royal operations in exchange for a palatial, press-free existence in the Middle East. Bahrain offers something the UK cannot: total privacy enforced by an absolute monarchy. There are no paparazzi on the meticulously guarded private islands of the Gulf. It is a solution that solves everyone's problem. Charles gets the Andrew problem out of Britain, and Andrew gets to live like a prince again, albeit in exile. But the cost of this move has already been extracted from the next generation. This is the part of the story that has Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie reportedly fuming. The surrender of the 75-year Royal Lodge lease has effectively incinerated the York inheritance. That lease was the family's primary asset, a tangible piece of real estate security that was supposed to be passed down. By forcing Andrew to hand it back to the Crown estate, the King has aggressively absorbed that value back into the firm without compensation. The princesses are watching their financial safety net vaporise. They are technically private citizens with royal titles, meaning they have to fund their own lifestyles to a degree, and the expectation was always that the lodge was their anchor. That anchor has been cut. They are collateral damage in their uncle's war against their father. The brutality of the pincer movement didn't just target Andrew. It wiped out the dynastic ambitions of the entire York branch. Now, we have to follow the money. This is where the situation gets murky and potentially dangerous for the Crown. We know Andrew's £3 million annual security detail has been severed. We know his £1 million allowance has been cut. Yet, he is still flying private. He is still moving assets. He is preparing for a life in a high-cost region. The sudden liquidity of the Duke, attributed to vague international trade contacts, is raising urgent questions in Parliament. MPS and security services are asking, who is bankrolling a compromised royal? If the British taxpayer isn't paying, and the King isn't paying, then a foreign entity is paying. And in the world of geopolitics, nobody pays millions of pounds for nothing. They are buying access. They are buying a former UK trade envoy. The fear is that the Duke has become a gun for hire, leveraging his knowledge and his title to secure funding from foreign oligarchs or state actors who want a back channel to the British monarchy. This is dark money entering the royal ecosystem, and it is a massive security risk. This leads us directly to the extradition firewall. Why Bahrain? Why not Switzerland or the Caribbean? Legal analysts are identifying the Bahrain escape hatch as a masterstroke against the FBI. We cannot forget the looming shadow of the declassified Epstein files. The US Department of Justice probes are not dead. They are dormant. There is always the threat of a renewed witness request or, in a worst-case scenario, a subpoena. Bahrain creates a legal force field. The Gulf state lacks the robust, streamlined extradition treaties with the United States that exist in Europe. By placing Andrew physically beyond the reach of Western judicial systems, the palace is essentially quarantining the legal risk. If he is in Manama, he can't be served. He can't be doorstepped by the FBI. It leverages diplomatic immunity and complex international law to ensure that even if new allegations surface, the Duke is untouchable. It is a cynical, brilliant legal maneuver. There is another layer to this, one that touches on national intelligence. We need to talk about the H6 catalyst. Recent intelligence leaks regarding Andrew's previous compromise by an alleged Chinese operative have changed the calculus inside Buckingham Palace. This isn't just about the Epstein scandal anymore. This is about state security. The King's ruthless decision to export the York problem is reportedly being viewed by the men in grey suits as a national security necessity rather than a lifestyle choice. If a senior royal is vulnerable to honey traps or financial coercion, they are a liability to the state. The thinking is simple. Remove the target. By shipping him off to a controlled environment in the Middle East, under the watchful eye of an allied monarch, the risk of further compromise by hostile state actors is managed. It is a containment strategy. So, as the Ghost of Windsor #trends with mocking Schadenfreude across social media, we are witnessing the final days of Prince Andrew as a British resident. He is preparing to trade his birthright for a golden cage. The removal vans at the lodge are just the first step in dissolving the York brand into the desert sands. The King has made his choice. The monarchy must survive, and for the institution to thrive, the Duke must vanish. It is a ruthless, cold-blooded execution of royal prerogative, ending 1,000 years of history where the King's brother was always the right-hand man. Now, he is just a liability to be exported. What do you think? Is exile in Bahrain a fair punishment? Or is it an easy escape from justice? And what happens to the Royal Lodge now? Does it go to William and Kate? Or does it sit empty as a monument to the fall of the House of York? Let us know in the comments below. We read every single one. And if you want to stay ahead of the removal vans and the royal spin doctors, make sure you have liked this video and subscribed to Royal Family Daily. We will be tracking the flight paths. We will be watching the money. Until next time, keep your eyes on the shadows.